You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Most writers and radio show hosts know that to connect with your fans, you need to do more than just write books or record the latest podcasts. There are many different elements that go into forming an online platform, but there are also many hidden traps. To make matters worse, solid advice on how to survive the muddy waters is scarce. In the book Hidden Traps, I talk about some of the important issues of working with an online platform, highlighting traps that could put your physical or internet security at risk or be harmful to your reputation. Are your social media posts just links with a few disjointed words, making you look like someone who can't complete a sentence? Did your new website cost you more than you anticipated? Are you leaking your personal contact details across the web without even knowing it? Then you need Hidden Traps. Hidden Traps is now available in paperback and ebook from a variety of retailers, including Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and Kobo. Visit blackwolfpublications.com for more details.
If you're 85 or younger, would you like peace of mind and comfort for your family? We're Final Expense Direct with an urgent message for you. The average funeral today costs over $8,000, but the most you'll get from government benefits is $255. How will your family pay the difference? We can help. Our senior plans start as low as just $1 a day and pay up to $30,000 for a funeral and other final expenses. Peace of mind is easy. There's no medical exam. You'll have lifetime coverage, and your plan can't be canceled as long as you pay your premiums. Call now for free information about our senior plans. Answer a few simple questions and receive approval right on the phone. Plus, call right now and we'll give you a discount prescription card for free. Call 800-553-8687. That's 800-553-8687. Again, 800-553-8687.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Sometimes writers feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
And so, my fellow Americans, ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same.
Well, good evening, folks. It's Tuesday. It's March the 6th, 2018, and this is the JandR Show. Sorry if I sound a little weirder than usual. It's because I'm fighting, like, allergies and crud and about a million other things that have all hit me all at once. So I have a little less energy than usual, so I probably won't be nearly as exciting to listen to. But the good news is I have a co-host with me who usually manages to pick up the slack when I feel like poo. So good evening, Jen. How are you?
I'm good. Well, it's a fair trade-off because last Thursday I was the one that was like still in a flu fog and dealing with recovering from that. So we're just trading places a little bit. You get to have your time to be a little bit off because I was definitely not my normal self last week.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing about it is I thought I was going to get lucky this year. I made it almost all the way through before I got a severe case of the crud. And I'm like, I even stayed away from CPAC, so I avoided the CPAC plague for one. I didn't wind up having to nearly go to the hospital like I've had for the last 2 years in January, so I thought I was doing really, really good. And then I woke up the other morning and went to church and came home and passed out and just haven't felt right ever since. I just, no matter what I do, I don't have energy. It's like, I mean, I even gave up and don't tell my wife, but I drank an energy drink on Monday and I was still falling asleep at work. It was bad.
I have so there's this whole thing. So I had the flu for like a solid week, right? And I'm talking like at least 4 days of it. 3 days of it, I ran pretty consistently, even with medication and everything. I ran over 101. Fever. And then several periods throughout those days, I ran 102, close to 103, which is, most doctors will tell you that ain't good, especially in an adult. Like, that's not good. And so I was in this whole, like, kind of fever, frenzy, coma, daze, fog thing. But apparently, there's this extra after you kind of get over the main symptoms of this flu that's been really prominent this season, even after you get over that, like my doctor told me, okay, so this should last like 4 to 7 days. I got on the Tamiflu and I had an inhaler and codeine cough syrup, the works. I mean, I really did get loaded up and it was great and it did help a lot. But she was like, even after you start feeling good, the extra side of the flu that is not focused on that much is called flu fog and flu fatigue. And that can last for 2 weeks after you stop having symptoms. And let me tell you, I stopped having symptoms a couple days ago. And the day after I stopped having all the major symptoms and I really started to feel like, oh, okay, I kind of feel better, whatever. I still wasn't doing very much, but I just, oh, I can make my own food. I can walk around. I feel good to take a shower and not just have to like lay in a bathtub and hope that I didn't die. I slept like 15 hours straight. And then I woke up for like 3 hours and I slept another 12 hours. And then I woke up and I wasn't having the cough and the sore throat and the nausea and the fever and all of those symptoms that come with it, but I was having like such extreme fatigue, and that's called flu fatigue, and that can last for like a week. Well, I don't have the luxury of that happening because I started South by Southwest today. Technically should have started yesterday, but I have some good managers that were able to handle it for me yesterday, and I went in today. But it's such a weird thing to get over because you like think you're in the clear and you think you're good, and of course you don't want to relapse, so you try to take it easy and not like overdo it and do too much. But just even like a couple of those days once I was symptom free, just even like walking the dog and like doing very mundane things, I was wiped and so exhausted. And that is something that is hard for me to deal with because I'm such a goer. So it's just been such a weird thing for me to be pretty much out of commission for the last like week and a half, and just now be back on my feet and not dying at walking into the next room and then walking back to bed. It's so strange, but don't get the flu. I hope you just have allergies. Don't get the flu.
Well, the good news is I did actually try to take the flu shot this year. The bad news is apparently I picked the year that the flu shot's like the least effective it's been since the
like 23%. Yeah, like 23%.
The sad thing is I know people that have got that have had multiple strains of the flu this year, and I'm just like, and the bad thing is I work in an office setting. We all have cubes, and we're in an enclosed space with no windows for 8 hours, and people keep coming back to work with the flu. So I've been really lucky to have fought it off for as long as I have this year. But I think, unfortunately, from the way I feel right now, I think my body's about to lose the war.
Well, I will say that they have said that even though it's like less effective this year, the people, and this has been true in my life, the people that I know that did get the flu shot have tended to get it less like violently than the other people. So even though it wasn't 100% effective, like they did get the flu, they didn't get it they got a more mild version than the people that had not had the flu shot. So I'm one of these people that normally does get the flu shot, and I somehow just like escaped it this year. Like the way my, normal checkups and stuff lined up, it just wasn't the right time. And I kept meaning to go back in and get it. And it got away from me and I got hit hard. But thankfully I have a husband and parents that are able to pick up the slack and help with the kiddo. And I was only having to do email and conference calls for work and not physically show up. So I was pretty lucky, and I had a really great owner who took over even a lot of that. So I didn't have to be on the phone hacking away as we lead up to our busiest time of year. But the flu, screw the flu. It is a mean little beast.
So was South by Southwest a little bit later this year? Because I remember last year you were going to try to do CPAC, and it was like great in the middle of CPAC.
So it's varied between when CPAC's dates have varied, and then South by's dates have varied. So it just all kind of depends on how the calendar falls over the weekends. So South by Southwest is usually the second weekend in March. Starting out, and then goes into the third weekend in March. Sometimes what happens is that weekend is not until, or that first weekend is like too late in the cycle, and they try to coincide it with spring breaks in the area. So when the University of Texas and the Austin schools, and generally all the Texas schools, have spring break, is they've tried to coincide South by with that, so the cities not overrun with students plus South by plus whatever. People are off work, people are out of town, all that kind of thing. So sometimes what happens is that second weekend, because of how the first weekend falls, will be like a little too late or a little too early. And so they adjust accordingly. And then CPAC has gone a couple times from being like that early 20th weekend in February to like the late 20th weekend in February. And again, however it falls. So sometimes it just ends up like a little bit too close together to where it's just not doable at all. Whereas like this year, it could have been totally doable. But this year, our I don't know, our ideology, our movement, our party is crazy. So not sure I really cared to. I always would love to go to something like that, but it wasn't as high a priority, I guess, as it's been in years past.
Yeah, I gotta say, I really just kind of decided we weren't doing that this year.
Feel it?
Hang on. I was trying to read up on the. There we go. I was trying to read up on the election stuff today, and of course, ads started to start playing.
Oh, I voted.
Ads. You voted, yay! I'm assuming you didn't vote for O'Rourke.
No.
Okay,
Beto can get betoed. I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm gonna make it a thing. Yeah, and actually this works out kind of perfectly. So I had to be at my job downtown opening my venue at 7 a.m. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh crap. And my mom and my aunt and all these people, they're so great about being like, oh, okay, this is where you can vote and this the day you vote and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then they always give us like little scoring sheets of info they've picked up of like, you know, what votes for what and who's pro-life and who's this and who's that. And I've got people on different sides telling me different things, of course. So I actually kind of like that though, because I kind of see a little bit of all of it. But I was determined to, because the polls close at 7. I was determined. I knew, like, I was hoping to get out of there by 4. I was praying that would mean 6. And it was about 6:35. And one of my bosses, I was like, oh, okay, I have to go right now. Can you do this? Because I'm going to blah, blah. And she was like, wait, what are you doing? I was like, I'm trying to get, you know, so that I can go vote, blah, blah. And she goes, oh, I know. Elementary school, 3 miles away, less than 10 minutes, right here downtown. Go over there. I just went. Nobody was there. Walk right in. And all you have to do is be in line by 7 in the state of Texas. So you can be in the line to vote by 7, and they have to let everyone who is in the line, and they do actually have someone that stands out there, and they tick down the clock, and they clock it in. Now, even today, I was there, and there were quite a few people that came behind me at like 7:03, 7:04. And the guy was like, clocks kind of vary. He gave it a 5-minute window, which I thought was really cool. So anyways, I was able to go to this. Texas has done a thing where, so we're one of the first primaries of this season. And the other thing that they've done that's kind of cool is they've opened it up that when it's a primary or an early voting situation, you don't have to vote like in your precinct. You have your voter registration. It's on file with your driver's license or with your voter ID number. And you can go in, or your military ID, concealed carry license, all of those things are all connected. And you can go in with one of those forms of ID, and they can allow you to vote anywhere in the city or the state. So I did not have to go back to where I live and make it to my elementary school in time. I could go right down the street near where I work and get there in plenty of time, which I think this is just brilliant. I mean, there's no reason why digitally we can't do this. We shouldn't be able to do this. So when I go plug it in, yeah, there were a few things that I'm supposed to vote on that are specific to my location of my city and of my state. But because of the number registering and the number I type in, it pulls up the correct ballot for me. And I know that there could be issues with all of this, but I think that in general, this is a really big positive that I don't have to be beholden to going back to my actual neighborhood because of work restrictions or travel restrictions or whatever that you have going on. Just that your son's soccer game is on the north side of town that you wanted to be at tonight, and you could go on your way and stop at a school nearby and go vote. I think this is a great thing that Texas is doing, and I've been able to take advantage of it a couple times now. But I was extremely excited to take advantage of it today because the workday got away from me and I was down to the wire. I was like 30 minutes and I ran over to this school. I was able to vote and it was awesome. And there was nobody there, but it's also a small school kind of tucked away in like a suburban neighborhood in the middle of sort of more of a central downtown Austin area. So it's not surprising. Other ones had lines out the door. But anyways, yeah, I got to vote and for some very important things in my book. And mainly like you mentioned before, not allowing O'Rourke to even remotely think he can challenge Ted Cruz.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Democrats are treating it as a bellwether because they don't expect him to win, but they're like, if we can get it to the point where maybe it's within 5 to 7 points, we can start showing these people that we can turn Texas blue. Like, y'all ain't turning Texas blue. Trump has fooled you morons into trying to vote for confiscating guns on the floor of the House and the Senate. Y'all ain't turning nothing blue if you keep that going.
Well, here's my thing about Texas. I do think that there is less fervor in general on a statewide level. There is less fervor. I mean, we're talking about a state that still wanted Ted Cruz to get the delegates from the state of Texas and not have them go to Donald Trump. So you still have a state where you have your gung-hos and they're going to follow the GOP line no matter what. But you still have a state with the way the GOP has, they're in a lot of ways really loyal to Ted Cruz. People that are up and coming, that are more centrist and even more Democrat, going to be influencing things from now on in a grander way than they have before. But you're still talking about that you need all of those people that are either A, hardline Ted Cruz supporters, John Cornyn, whoever, or B, like, you need all of those people that were so angered and detested the Trump nomination and everything that went down around that they would totally flip. You need so big a chunk of those people to totally flip into voting for not just a Democrat, not just a red state Democrat, but a truly leftist, progressive, ultra blue Democrat. And they're not going to win it that way. They would win it with more of a blue dog Democrat, with a JFK, with someone who has like a little bit more of a nuance between everything. But they are not going to win it with an ultra liberal, ultra progressive Democrat that they're trying to elect. It's just not going to happen.
Well, let's hope not, because I mean, a lot of things that have been coming out lately, I haven't been fans.
I mean, not
of,
right now.
I still definitely don't want Texas to ever remotely turn purple, much less blue. But I mean, well, the thing about it is, I think it's going to be inevitable at some point, because now, I was reading today that apparently there's a U-Haul shortage in the San Francisco area because everybody's leaving. So I think we're going to get one of these points again where a bunch of people move out from states that they hate because the taxation's too high and the government's too mean. And they're going to be like, oh, let's move to Colorado or let's move to Texas because they're great.
Yeah.
Or let's move to Oklahoma because they're great. But, hey, they don't have half the things that we had in that state. So we should. So, yeah.
That is going to be an issue, but you also have to think about all the businesses that come here that bring a bunch of blue-collar workers. So that is going to be an issue. You're going to have the Californians and all of the other blue staters that are going to move to Texas for obvious reasons. But with all of that come the businesses that come with it, and they have to hire people, and there are a lot of people that are going to be job seeking that come here that won't all necessarily be blue blood. Like they're not all going to be Democratic leaning. And so we're going to get a lot of that too. And that's kind of what's balanced out Dallas a little bit and even tempered Austin a little bit. They don't like we always joke about Austin, this liberal bastion, and it's blah, blah, and everybody's crazy, and it's all hippie, and it's all and it's all this. But I cannot tell you how many people I talk to on a daily basis in Austin, Texas, that are legitimately conservative and raising their kids conservative. And some of them have moved here from many other places. And they came here for jobs. They came here for prosperity. They came here because they can afford a house and land and whatever else. And so, yeah, we're going to intake a lot of that blue, and they're going to concentrate in some of these cities where they are going to turn blue, and the counties surrounding them are going to make it a little bit more muddy. But you're still going to get a lot of influx of people that are diving in, that are not necessarily progressive and liberal in that way, that are also making a life here and buying homes and spending tax money and all of those things. So it's kind of gone up and down several times here already in the last 15, 20 years. I don't anticipate a huge swing to the left just because of that. What I think could do that would be saying we've swindled all of these illegal immigrants and even immigrants and their families, and telling even legal immigrants and their families and telling them what we're going to promise them. And then if those things happen, that would be the real kicker in swinging it purple or blue.
Sorry, I was trying not to cough my head off, so I didn't realize I was muted there when I first started trying to come back. So I mean, my biggest thing with all of this is you keep listening to all the Democrats who are, we're the ones with the momentum. It's like I watched and sorry, I'm on medication, so I'm not thinking as clearly as I thought I was going to be able to for this hour. But I watched the head of the head of the Democrat side of the Senate was talking today and trashing the tax plan again, and talking about how it was crumbs and how they were going to use that to prove to the Democrats that the rich were getting richer and they were getting poorer. I don't understand their logic on this stuff, though, on any of it, from, the whole idea of, well, we're just going to move to places and make them more like what we tried to get away from, to we're going to take this idea and try to make people think that it's a terrible thing when, I don't know about you, but in between me and my wife, we've got about an extra $150 every 2 weeks on our paychecks. That's not a small thing. That's a huge thing. Now, unfortunately, I think the Trump administration may be about to shoot themselves in the foot with this whole tariff idea, but I'm also starting to wonder if he's not using that as a negotiation tactic like he's done with pretty much everything else. Because he never actually does most of the things that he threatens. He uses them to beat people over the head with them till they cave.
Yeah.
And it seems to be working.
And you brought this up in a group of ours today, and it was the first time I kind of thought, I hadn't really considered it from that angle, because what he has said, from my very admittedly minimal understanding of these situations, is not good, and it ain't good at all. And especially not good if you are a conservative or even of the GOP persuasion. It's not good. But when you presented it that way and you said what you said, I went, geez, this kind of is so freaking typical, right? That he would throw something out there, rein it back in, and then have a little bit of a medium that he comes back to if he has to revisit it at all. And a lot of times he doesn't have to revisit it at all because everyone else carries it away and it becomes null and void again because they go off the charts with it and they lose their crap over it, and he doesn't even have to speak of it again because how dare you, and why would he? So it did make me think a little bit like, well, maybe this is just one of those things he kind of throws out there. But I do know we had another friend that said, for someone that's a businessman and has not been a politician, has not been in, coming up through the leagues of government, that this thing is, the tariff situation, the deficit is such a much more atrocious thing to someone who has had the kind of mind in business that he's had versus a government view of it. And I thought that that was really astute, because that is so true. This is something that a businessman would absolutely, warrantedly freak out over and be like, this is unacceptable. We have to fix this. We have to do something about this. And other presidents have said they're going to also, but not to this extreme. But because there are other ways to go about it than just straight up insane tariffs. But it does make sense if you're thinking about viewing it from the place that he comes from versus the government.
Yeah, no, I mean, I know it makes perfect sense to him. I think it's funny watching everybody else have meltdowns over it to a point. Look, I don't understand enough about how the tariffs work anyway. The one thing that I know is pretty much everything this guy touches looks terrible at first. But now he's got the Dreamers pissed off at the Democrats because they missed his deadline yesterday. So they've turned all their ire that they were pointing at the Republicans and pointing at Trump. Now they're pissed off at the Democrats. They're like, look, he came to the table. He told you guys he wanted to do something, and now you left us hanging. I mean, say what you want about the guy. He's got the mental midget from the north is willing to come to the table. He's got the Dreamers turned on the Democrats. He's getting friction and traction from both the gun debate crowd and the gun control crowd because he keeps talking out of both sides of his mouth there. But, I mean, it's just like everything, when he starts, everything looks terrible. And then you look up a couple weeks later and you're like, I did not see that coming. He just pulled a rope-a-dope on the entire Democratic Party. And he just did it again. I don't know. I mean, I'm not a fan. I don't like the way he works, but I have to say, as maddening as his methods are, there does in fact appear to be some method to his madness. But on that note, we're past the bottom of the hour, so we should probably take a quick break. We'll be right back. This is Jen and Rick. Stay tuned. Everyone loves liberty. Our rights come from God, not the government. So why are you letting other people tell you what's best for your health care? Exercise your freedom with Liberty Health Share. Liberty Health Share is a community of people who voluntarily share one another's medical costs. Liberty Health Share is founded on the idea that most people truly want to help one another. Healthcare sharing allows members to do just that as a true community that supports one another in times of need. Liberty believes people should make decisions for themselves and their families. Members are able to take back the freedom to make their own decisions about their health care. Freedom from guilt or doubt about how your money is used. You have the freedom to direct your health care, not to be dictated to by bureaucrats. Stop letting others tell you what to do and join a community of like-minded people. Exercise your freedom. Join Liberty Health Share and take back the control of your health care while helping those around you. Call Liberty at 855-58-LIBERTY. Again, that's 855-58-LIBERTY for more information, or you can check them out at libertyhealthshare.org. Again, that's libertyhealthshare.org.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is. If getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now. 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 $3 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
All right, folks, welcome back. This is Jen and Rick. I'm one half of the crew, Mr. Big Robinson. She's the other half, Miss Jen Wright. And again, we do this thing usually every Tuesday and Thursday, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central, right here on the home station. We've kind of been all over the place tonight. Most of that's my fault. I'm a little more discombobulated than usual. That's something. But yeah, so I'm feeling a little bit under the weather tonight. We're still trying to power through it anyway. So one other thing that I kind of wanted to talk about, because it kind of caught me off guard today when I started reading about all this. Apparently, Sam Nunberg kind of went on like a media tear yesterday. And at one point, during one of his final interviews as he made the rounds to MSNBC and CNN multiple times during one of his interviews, someone actually, the host / commentator actually asked him if he had been drinking because she could smell alcohol on his breath. So for those of you who don't know who Sam Nunberg is, he's actually somebody that has actually been fired from the Trump administration now twice. I've never been in a position where I've fired somebody twice before.
I have, but I also didn't hire them the second time. So, I have fired someone twice, but I have not. I fired them. I left. I came back. They were rehired, and I refired. So that's a little bit different. I stayed consistent, but yeah, that is E.
So yeah, the funny thing is, so he was going on this big tirade and telling everybody what a moron Trump is, and basically Mueller could suck it, blah blah blah, yada yada yada. But let him put me in jail. I'm not listening. I don't care about his stupid subpoena. And no, I haven't been drinking. What are you talking about? I'm not on anything other than my antidepressant medication. First of all, who is actually on that type of stuff and then admits on national TV that they take antidepressants unless you're drunk?
Yeah, don't do that. Let's not do that, people.
So, but the funny thing is, so, you know, I had some time this morning, so I turned on Glenn Beck, which I usually, if I watch him, it's usually because I've podcasted it or DVR'd it somewhere. But they were talking about it today, and the funny thing is, he was like, first of all, I know the host. Second of all, I used to work in the building. There's a bar right across the street. You can see it from the window. They were probably drinking together right before they went on the air.
Wait, I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, it was kind of funny. And then he's like, and then they were probably giving him Jello shots in the green room. No, you'll be fine. It'll be fun.
Wow.
But yeah, he's like, dude, if you've ever been in the building, if you're at the studio there, you can actually look out their window and you can see the bar that they all go to when they're not working. I'm like, wow.
That amazeballs. Just amazeballs.
Well, honestly, I'm really kind of not. What surprises me, though, is this dude like went on this whirlwind tour for like 7 hours yesterday, and you had to know they know something was wrong with the dude, but they kept bringing it. I mean, dude was on CNN like 3 times yesterday. It wasn't just once. It was time after time after time. The dude did like 7 hours worth of interviews, and I mean, I'm just. You know, and everybody that does this type of thing for a living is like, shouldn't there be some sort of an ethics line when you keep bringing somebody back on the air that you know is compromised? And I'm thinking, yeah, maybe. You would think.
Like, maybe just a hint.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you don't maybe a hint the size of the Grand Canyon. But the funny thing is, so with all his bravado yesterday and all his basically telling Mueller he doesn't care if he gets put in jail, he would laugh about it, blah, blah, blah. Dude sobers up today, is like, yep, everything I said yesterday, forget it. I'm gonna go get treatment, and I will be in full cooperation with the more investigation.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh, so perfect. Okay, so did you happen to see? So Ari Berman, who writes for Mother Jones, of course he does. Ari Berman, blue check, writes for Mother Jones. Okay, so he puts out a tweet today. Want to know how gun lobby dominates U.S. politics? In Texas, a gun permit is a valid voter ID, but a student ID is not. Okay, he got very rightly schooled by everybody, which pointed out
including Dana.
Yes, and his example was an actual Texas ID, a concealed handgun license issued by the state of Texas, and then a University of Texas ID, which I own because I graduated from the University of Texas, and my husband has because he is currently a student in an extended course at the University of Texas. Here's what is not on our student IDs, which I have been able to use as a supplemental ID in certain situations, but have not been able to use as a primary or a secondary ID since, I don't know, circa 2002 when I first enrolled at UT. So it does not have my birth date, number one. It has very minimal information that is only pertainable to the actual university. It is not state issued. It is university issued, which means that also residents who are enrolled at the university or non-residents or illegal residents or whoever else has been accepted to the university but does not actually have citizenship either in this United States or the state of Texas, residency in the state of Texas, are afforded a ID because they are a student at this university. You do not have to be a resident of Texas or a citizen of this United States in order to obtain a university ID. So not only that, but it is not verified to the point where we also have other qualifications on there that are necessary for not only you to be allowed to vote, but to buy beer, say, or, go and get a car and sign a lease or any of these things. Your student ID is not valid for any of those things, at least in this state and at least by this university. There may be other universities that have more stringent policies on them. They may be actually state issued or state sanctioned. This is not, and this is the largest public university in the state of Texas. None in the state of Texas are sanctioned to be allowed to be actual valid forms of ID when regarding anything of importance. So he gets completely owned by everybody, including liberals, on this. I mean, people are like, dude, like, make the right argument. I get it. Like, I'm on your side, but this is not cool because it's not honest. And instead of knowing the difference and seeing the difference and then also seeing that he was rightly taken to task, he decides that he's going to say, for all the NRA apologists complaining about this tweet, name one example of someone using college ID to impersonate another voter versus 35,000 gun deaths in U.S. every year. First of all, what the hell does that even mean? What kind of even comparison is that? So my answer was, oh, I see. Fantastic argument. Also, show me one diddle on the doodle that dawdled to the deedle for the doodle. I mean, I basically made as much sense as he did.
No, that was epic.
Show me one diddle on the doodle that dawdled to the deedle for the doodle. I used all 5 vowels.
Was there a, well, you said 5, so never mind.
You 5, I didn't use the Y. I didn't use the Y.
In the sometimes Y, I'm sad.
I didn't throw in the Y. I'm hooked on phonics, okay? It's a sometimes vowel. It's not the all the time vowel. I use the 5 vowels. I'll definitely, y'all just go to my brilliant Twitter at J Homestead and you can find this.
That was awesome.
But seriously, other people also said some really funny, brilliant things. But what the hell? Like, you were so wrong and so beaten, and I get it. Like, you got embarrassed. But he doubled down. And let me just tell you, listeners, when you were so very wrong, and you doubled down on the interwebs, it is not even close to cute. It is not sexy. It is embarrassing. It is laughable. And it is something that fuels me for all of eternity to laugh at why I am on Twitter. And people like this are so very dumb.
Yeah. So speaking of dumb people, this actually happened on my Twitter yesterday. I don't even remember who it was, and I'm not going back through my TL to find it, but I had some Brit trying to school me on how the Constitution was outdated, and guns were stupid. So of course, me being the snarky guy that I am, I was like, hey, it doesn't, I don't remember exactly how I put it. It wasn't nice, but it basically, fit for radio translation was, hey, it doesn't matter what you think. And then I had a gif of The Rock yelling, it doesn't matter what you think. Oh yeah, it was, hey, you stupid limey bastard. And then I had a bunch of laughing emojis, and then it was the gif of The Rock. And then it ran into like an hours-long conversation. I'm like, yeah, British dude who has us to thank for the fact that he didn't grow up speaking German thinks he's cute. Maybe next time all us rednecks with our outdated constitution and guns should just stay home. He didn't like that one.
Dang.
I've been being a little more snarky than usual on Twitter lately because I'm tired of the gun debate. So I'm just over it.
It's obnoxious as hell.
So the one bright spot is the lone. He seems like he's the lone conservative kid from the Florida shooting. Twitter's finally recognized that he exists as a person and gave him the same blue check mark they already gave to all the other kids from the school. Fun times. Only took him about 2 weeks longer, and I'm sure they did it begrudgingly. But at least now he'll have protection from people trying to get him banned.
Oh, wait. You're talking about the kid that was, like, more pro-gun?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say...
What's his name?
I can't think of it right now.
Is it Kyle?
I think it's Kyle something. Hang on.
Yeah, he's not, like, super pro-gun, but he's like, let's listen to more sides than just this one. And, like, they're using their celebrity to just get on shows and, like, whatever. And he's like, I'm for gun control, but I'm also for, like, common sense everything.
Well, I mean, I don't really think that there's anybody who's not really for more common sense stuff when it comes to, like, background checks.
Yeah, no, and you're totally right. But there is a difference between someone saying, I'm common sense, let's say gun control, or you can apply it to various different issues, and being like, oh, I'm common sense this, but what I really mean is you better be super pro that, And I think, like, what I have seen from the kid I think you're talking about is that he has used the words common sense, but what I've seen from him has been more of like, you're my idea of common sense and less of what the Shannon Watts idea of common sense is.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually...
There is a difference.
He's using the real definition of common sense, not the leftist.
That's what I mean. I mean, there's a difference in the political ideologies or in the gun political ideologies. So I think that he is using a common sense version that he actually means like, okay, I could give you a few, leeways here and there, but also like, no, we're not disarming everybody. No, we're not going to go after guns. No, I don't want this or I don't want that. But I would be willing to talk on, like you said, stricter background checks. And in some states, they want registries. Okay, let those states vote on that. Let them have a better registry. having different things about state lines and how they cross. Okay, I could consider all of that common sense talk about legislation. What I don't consider common sense talk is you don't need those, you don't get those, and unless you pass every crazy thing that we decide to come up with, which, by the way, would make all of us ineligible because anyone that has ever had an anxiety issue and gone on medication for it wouldn't be allowed to have a gun and would be in some sort of mental illness registry. That I don't consider common sense.
Oh, dang. I just saw this. Jimmy Kimmel, shots fired against the president.
Oh, boy.
So Donald Trump, some point yesterday, put out lowest rated Oscars in history. Problem is we don't have stars anymore except for your president. Just kidding, of course. And he had that in parentheses. Jimmy Kimmel quote tweeted and said, "Thanks from the lowest rated president in history," which is not actually accurate, by the way, but nice attempt.
Mm-hmm.
I guess Kimmel took it a little personally that the president.
You know, I haven't heard yet. Usually he's in my neck of the woods for most of South by Southwest. I haven't heard if he is going to be, gracing us with his presence next week.
His tail between his legs.
I actually wouldn't mind it. His South by segments, at least it takes him away from some of the politics. And his South by segments are pretty funny because he adequately makes fun of the indie music, take myself so seriously, man bun culture, but also has the right amount of talent on that kind of counters that. And then he goes out into, various good venues in Texas and eats good food, meets good people, has good experiences, and he films them all. And he always comes back being like, man, that was so amazing. And those people were so great. And even after last year, and I wanted to be like, you realize all those people voted for Trump that you were loving on and you thought were so awesome. But he didn't talk politics with them. And I'm fine with that. Don't talk politics. Enjoy the people, enjoy the moment, enjoy the culture. And that's why I think some of his being here during South by Southwest is such a good part of his show because he doesn't get entrenched in the whole politics side of it. He gets wrapped up in the culture. He gets wrapped up in the people, in the friendliness and the food and the fun and the music. And all of that gets put by the wayside for a little bit. So I do hope he's coming back. I haven't heard for sure that he is, and I'm usually kind of on the inside on this, but I hope he is coming back because I think it will make his show pretty enjoyable for a few weeks. And people like seeing him. He's really nice to meet in person, which is part of why it annoys me so much with what he does on his show because I've met him so many times and he's a good guy. And he is an enjoyable person. He is a friendly person. And he is a reasonable person to have a normal conversation with. But when he's put on the spot with his political things that he thinks he needs to do and his aura he needs to give off, it just goes it goes too far and it turns off too many. And that pisses me off because I don't like seeing any of that from good entertainers and good entertainment. And then especially people that I've met that I know don't need to be that way in order to succeed. And he doesn't. And that's frustrating.
Well, in his defense, he spends most of the time he's doing his shows live, reading from scripts that people wrote for him. So most of the time, I don't even necessarily think it's what he thinks. I think it's what the writers have told him he needs to say. I haven't met him, but based on what you've just described there, it seems to me like he's playing a character most of the time when he's doing his shows versus how he acts more in person. And I know people
from my experiences in person.
Well, yeah.
This is definitely, I'm not saying he doesn't care about these things or he doesn't believe these things or he doesn't think these things. What I'm saying is, as far as it consuming his every being and needing to be the only thing that he cares about so that he can't interact with people that disagree, that's not true. He absolutely can interact with people that disagree, just like all of us can. We have friends of all different stripes that have all different beliefs and different religions and different everything, cultures, races, everything. And he is just as much able, capable, and gracious in dealing with people of different backgrounds and different ideologies and beliefs as the next of us. And what happens on his show that's for Hollywood and entertainment and the ratings is not, even though he cries on camera, that is not the Jimmy Kimmel. And also you could sub like 15 other celebrity names in here that I have met in person and have seen to be much more accommodating, gracious, and lenient in their interactions with someone that does not 100% jump on board with their super liberal agenda.
Yeah, and it wouldn't necessarily surprise me to hear that from somebody who's met him, that he's completely different in person than he is when he's doing his show. We're just about out of time, but I did want to touch on one other subject because something kind of exciting happened over the last day or so. Someone who I know from Twitter, who actually recently started finally following me after interacting with him with Sam for a bit, got married. Chad Felix Green actually got married.
Yes! Oh my God, I'm so glad you said this.
So I just want to say congratulations to Chad. It's been a long time coming from what I hear. You and I haven't been following each other long, but I have actually interacted with you for a while. So I'm glad that you're finally
Chad
following
was
back.
One of my very, very first Twitter regular interactor friends. So I think Chad and I followed each other. I had like maybe 50 followers, and I became acquainted with Chad. I adore this guy so much. He is so sweet, so kind, so intuitive, so brave. He's got a lot of insight into a lot of different realms because he is gay, Jewish, conservative. He's struggled with a lot of different things. He's faced a lot of hardship. He has overcome abuse and all sorts of craziness. And he is about the best guy you could ever ask to be on your side and talk to and have as a friend. He is someone that I have leaned on time and again. And he has on me, and I hope that he would say the same about me. I pretty much know he would, that we have tried to help each other and push each other along in this little journey of politics and writing and whatever. We've hosted him on Misfits. I've celebrated every accomplishment that he's had. He's been hosted on Huffington Post. He's been put out there, on various platforms in the conservative world, and very recently the Federalist has taken him on. And I am so happy to count him as a friend, and I'm so excited for him. And, there are a lot of conservatives that are very conflicted about gay marriage and about gay life in general. And what I would like to say to that, and the way that I grew up and the life I've made for myself, where I have been mostly in the arts and in dance and theater and everything. There were some really nasty comments on a few of my tweets today towards Chad, and then there were just some Bible verses put out there and this and that. Okay, that's great. You can believe what you believe. Can we either say we're going to keep it to ourselves and we don't need to comment on someone's joyous occasion with something negative, or don't comment at all, or be ready for the fight? And I think that really you would do better, any of us would do better to withhold judgment, leave that to God. He acts, as much as he says what he says about gay people, or what he says about men with other men, and what he says about even adultery or whatever else. The ultimate thing, though, is that we are told to love one another and to cherish and care for one another and to walk together as with Christ and leave the judgment elsewhere. That's not my deal. That's not your deal. That's not anyone's purpose on this earth, is to be deciding who is and is not worthy. And for me, I have over the years and with all of my very, very good friends that I have found to be some of the best people that I know that are, oh, gasp, so sinful, they're gay. Well, they're also like some of the kindest, most loving, most open-hearted, wonderful people that I know. And I am happy to love them and accept them and pray for them and work with them in a way that is fruitful on this earth. And I will leave to God the rest of it. So I don't need to make any sort of decision. I know my decision is I support my friends and I love my friends, and they're good people and they're good to me and they're good to each other, and that's all I need to know.
You know, honestly, it's been a bit of a growing and a learning experience for me since we've become involved in this new church. And one of the things that I love that my new pastor basically says, because he usually closes the service out the same way, especially if he knows there's new people in the audience. He'll tell you, look, I'm not the guy that's going to come at you and say, you need to stop doing this, you need to stop doing that, you need to clean yourself up, you need to dress up to come to church, you need to stop drinking, stop cussing, stop smoking, stop doing everything else that you know you're not supposed to be doing. That's not my job. My job is to show you Jesus, and he'll take care of the rest. So that's actually helped me a lot with coming to my own conflicted spirit when it comes to homosexuality, because I've come to understand it's not my place to judge them. It doesn't have anything to do with me. Even if one of my children was to come out to me at some point, I would be like, look, my job is to love you. You're my child. That's all there is to it. That's what my job is. I'm your parent. I'm supposed to take care of you. I'm supposed to love you no matter what. That's what I'm going to do. The rest of it's between you and God. That's how I've started to be able to reconcile it more and not be at odds with, because, I mean, look, if we really stop and think about it, every single one of us sins almost every single day.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing. Which sin is worse? Because there are so many others that everybody commits on a daily basis that is also way up there. Forsake your spouse. I mean, like, all kinds of ways in which we completely flub the sacred nature of God's word. So I agree with you. It took me less amount of time because I kind of grew up with a bunch of people that I knew were really good people that were also, the gays or whatever else not so kosher with the most of the biblical Christian believers. But it took me, I was a child though. So I think in a way that actually it helped me a lot because I was a kid seeing a bunch of this, but also knowing that this person was such a good person and he was so sweet to me, or she was so great to me, or this was so they loved me. They cared for me. They were awesome in every way. And so how could that be bad? And that's why I say, for me, I think it took me less time than it did you because I didn't have to go through all those things because I grew up with a lot of people that were gay. But I knew I still was a believer, and I still also kind of grew up with the whole idea that, that's not really kosher. So I was able to, though, differentiate that, okay, there may be some rules, but they're not my rules. And it's not up to me to decide that. It's not up to me to condemn them. That is their own deal, and that is God's own deal. That is not my pressure. That is not my decision. I get to be friends with wonderful people. I get to enjoy great people and neighbors and friends and family. I get to know who they are as people, and that may be good or may be bad, but it's not because I get to decide whether they are ultimately good or bad because of their sexual affiliation or any other affiliation for that matter. That is God's deal, not my deal. I can discern that someone is a jerk and a total bunghole because he's a jerk. But I'm not going to decide that because someone chooses to love someone else. And that's a difference.
And I completely agree. And on that note, we are officially out of time. So why don't you remind folks where they can hang out with you when you're not on the air hanging out with me?
Okay, so sometime after the next 2 weeks, come find me at J Homestead on Twitter. I'll be dealing with a lot of South by Southwest stuff and probably barely on at all. I'll pop in every now and then. But J Homestead on Twitter, JR Homestead on Facebook. Please check out misfitspolitics.com. There's been a couple good pieces written lately that you really should read. And yes, congratulations to Chad. I am so happy for Chad.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for this particular episode. And again, on the way out, congratulations to Chad and his new husband. I hope you guys have many, many happy years together. I know everybody's like, oh my God, conservatives, maybe they're not as evil as we think they are. Stop listening to the liberal media. We'll see you guys when we see you. We're hoping to do Tuesday, but this next week is going to be a bit crazy. I'll be back live for America Off the Rails tomorrow night. Well, that is, of course, provided that I can keep from coughing for at least an hour. But we'll see. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. God bless.